And so, welcome to Experience on Air. Today's Sing Series, we have the one and only Curt with PentaVia Custom Homes. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I really appreciate you letting us into your office. Your office is amazing. Really appreciate, you just welcoming us. So thank you so much. And this setup is awesome. So
Yep, we're excited for you guys to be here.
yeah,
It's good.
great. So, I'm just going to ask you the first question, who is Curt? Like, where, tell me your story. Where did you start? And, just,
Yeah, that's who am I?
yeah,
That's getting into an identity question. I
Yeah.
mean, really the start of me would go down to a moment that was very personal in my life. I was on the road traveling, leading worship around the country. Was on the road over 250 days a year.
Wow.
And my life began to change because my 1-year-old son just got spinal meningitis.
Oh, wow.
And we began to deal with the circumstances around it. Almost lost him. The Lord was so good to us and brought him back to us. He's amazing now, but he got a cochlear implant. I don't know if you know what a cochlear implant is,
Yep.
but it hardwires sound directly to the brain.
That's amazing.
He's now on his way into the Keller Police Department.
Oh.
He's just a fantastic kiddo, but I needed to get off the road. So my father-in-law said, well, why don't you start building? Didn't think about that, right?
Yeah.
He was an incredible mentor, loved on me, showed me life, showed me finances. He graduated from Pepperdine with a master's in finance, had a couple of construction companies, and he allowed me to get my hands dirty and dig into construction. And that was about 30 years ago, and didn't stop, didn't look back.
Wow, that's amazing, and thank you for being just so telling us your story, like on how because a lot of times people kind of don't want to like really share like the past and everything like that. So thank you for being so open. That's amazing. So your son's at the Keller Police Department?
Not yet. He's on his way into that. That's his primary goal, and I think that's probably about 6 months away of starting the academy on that side of it. And
Okay, great.
Yep.
And then 30 years of building homes. So you've seen it all from 2008, of course, the big year. Then
even before then, we had millions on the ground when 9/11 took place.
Oh, wow.
And that was a big moment, especially here in the South Lake area, because most of our buyers were telecom and pilots at that point in time. And the world just completely fell apart back then.
Yeah.
So it was, we've seen the ups and downs for
Yeah.
sure.
And that's kind of crazy that you say that, because every single, building, real estate has its cycles. And so, even the pandemic, I'm sure, was probably one of the craziest times. And then of course 2008. So how do you kind of move and like kind of try to stay ahead of it? Because it seems like like there is always these moments that kind of are really you have to shift. And how do you kind of combat that?
Listen, number one, transparency. If you have transparency not only in your business but in the numbers, in your engagement, authenticity with the customer, so that they're aware of the movement and the things that we're all dealing with. Typically, people want to be a part of a solution and not a hindrance to the challenge,
Yeah,
right?
that's amazing.
And so the more authentic that we can conduct business, the more transparency, the more accountability that we can have, the better we grow, not only as a company, but our clients love us. I mean, our company didn't set out to win an award, but we're so thankful. One of the things that we are prideful about, honestly, is that we won the Torch Award for the best in marketplace ethics from the Better Business Bureau.
That's amazing.
And that's not something that the Better Business Bureau just goes around and hands out.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can pay for as an ad and you suddenly win an award, that kind of thing. It's not something that we walk around screaming at people. I tell my staff all the time, let your success make the noise. Keep your head down.
Yeah.
Stay focused. Be great at what you do.
Yeah.
And the success, it'll scream.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you guys are really doing that because, I see your product, PentaVia. You guys are building the most, like, I've seen the homes in South Lake, West Lake. They're so beautiful.
Thank you.
And so, like, that says a lot about the quality and the product. And, even talking to some of my, like, realtor friends, they always tell me about, like, the quality of construction. So, we asked who you were. So who is PentaVia? What was your vision when this company was created?
Yeah, everybody always asks me where did this name come from?
Yeah.
It's, Penta is 5, and Via is the paths or the roads. We call it the 5 roads of design. And the 5 roads is the physical road, the social road, the intellectual road, the emotional road, and the personal or spiritual road. A little bit different take. You're not going to see builders pound out this type of language, but I can build a house. I want to build a home. Those 5 roads are not something that we came up with from a marketing strategy. It actually was born because I was at Columbine right before Columbine took place.
Wow.
And wound up traveling with some of the kids from Columbine and experiencing what life looked like after Columbine. And it really changed my look at life and the generations around it. Those 5 roads are the 5 roads of healing. I can build a house, but I want to build a home.
Wow.
I want a house that involves healing. I'll give you an example. The social road's not about entertainment. The social road is about the art of communication. Did we set up this home to foster better communication as a family? Wow. The intellectual road is one to establish an environment where kids can think creatively outside the box. They're so used to having a screen in front of them. What if we put a stage in the middle of a game room with operating curtains and a microphone? I've never seen a kid not run up to that microphone and have an American Idol moment.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So, or a craft room where they can get messy and paint can hit the floor and it's fine. It's okay because we have a way of cleaning up and taking care of things. Those things are moments that we can craft into a home because it's custom if we're being thoughtful about our design, if we're being thoughtful about the intent. That's what those roads are about. On my website, I've got 5 short little videos about who are we and the 5 roads of design, just trying to help people understand that this is a moment that can last forever if we just be thoughtful, if we just think through it.
No, that's amazing. And I think that says a lot about, your success and, because like you said, you could build a house, but a home is a place where family, you spend, you watch your kids grow up, and so like I feel that exact same way. I was actually having this conversation earlier today with a person that's trying to become a realtor, and I was just like, look, there's so many people out there that want to sell real estate because the commissions are great and everything like that, but if you're not passionate about real estate, if you're not passionate about building homes, I don't think you can be successful. So I think that's probably one of your kind of outlooks on it as well.
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, before COVID hit the world, right? We were actually challenging our team going, how could we get better indoor air quality in our homes? A lot of times clients come in and they'll ask you what kind of air conditioning system you have, but they don't say, what is the indoor air quality of the house? Well, we started putting in a special air filtration system that kills 100% of all viruses, molds, bacteria, and VOCs. Wow. Well, when COVID hit, I had customer after customer calling me going, is it true? Did you really do that? Yeah. And we really did.
That's amazing.
Every house, sanitized air, 100%. So it's, again, being more thoughtful. A house that can be healing. I'm going to go back to that, right? Yeah. A house that can be healing. We even get into build science, efficiencies. How can we be responsible with what, the good Lord has given us here, and how we build and the energy efficiencies. Wood, touching wood, if heat hits it, it transfers energy into the next wood. So it's called thermal bridging, right? Wow. And so inevitably I have studs and I have sheathing on wood on the outside of the house. And so I'm transferring some heat some way back into the house. But if we think intelligently about thermal bridging, we can put a blanket essentially around this house that disables the thermal bridging, it breaks the bridging, and now suddenly the conditioning and the cooling and the energy efficiencies of this home completely change. And then we throw in geothermal, which is taking Mother Earth to cool and to heat the house, right? At that moment in time, suddenly it's only $70 to condition a 7,000 square foot home a month, right? Wow. So we can be responsible about how we build if we're being thoughtful, intelligent about what we're doing.
No, that's amazing. And like, a lot of times you talk to builders and you talk to other people, and it's all about the price and how efficiently or cost effective we can do it. And so the thing is I like the fact that you guys are thinking about how can you be cost effective for the customer in the long run, because at the end of the day, like, that is who you guys are building for. And so they have the ultimate like experience. So when someone comes to you guys, what is the process like if they want a custom home?
So we've got two different divisions in our company. We have our semi-custom and production division, and then we've got our luxury division.
Yep.
In the semi-custom side, we've taken all the attributes of these multi-million-dollar homes that we're building, and we began to think about how can we pare down the square footage, how can we control the cost, and get it into a place that's more affordable, right? That process, we define the structure of the home, the floor planning, based off of previous built homes, and put together something that we can control cost by doing that. We, flooring, we'll spend $3 million a year in flooring easily.
Wow.
And so we're going to leverage on our pricing for flooring. Well, that's something that we pass down. So by doing that on the semi-custom and production side, we're able to offer an incredible product. I don't relinquish on our structural standards, but we offer an incredible product for the price, and that enables people to get in from that perspective. That's a different structure of getting there, right?
Yep.
In fact, I would love for you to go out to the Vines, one of our developments in North Fort Worth. Take a look at it. It's unbelievable homes that we're building out there, incredible families that are out there. We've got, I think, maybe, 30 more lots that are even left out of 84. So
Wow.
It's a great opportunity if somebody's looking to get in. But that's different. Now we go luxury,
Yep.
right? Luxury is totally different. We're a little bit crazy when it comes to luxury. I don't know very many people that have walked into a car dealership, right, and said, I want a custom car,
Yeah.
right? You don't walk in there and say, I want the motor inside the glove box or
No,
red stitching
yeah.
on the tire. But for some reason, we think we can do that with houses. So with that being said, we do. We start first with what are your needs?
The basics.
It's the basics. That's the physical road, right?
Yep.
We get into the 5.5 bed bath kind of situation, right? And so we go down those roads themselves, but we have a full system lined up. So in our operations, it's not necessarily, and this is not a negative thing, but we're not a builder in a truck. We have a whole team that comes around you. We have an internal coordinator that is involved with automated steps that we have in a system that leads people down the design guidelines, interior design, pool to landscaping, we call pre-construction services, till we get to a finished product so that we then can go into bid management. So now I've got this completed set of documentation that is well vetted. We have all of our selections in place. And then in bid management, we actually produce a 5-ring binder that's perfectly tabbed out of all the hard bids of everything it takes to build that home. And we do that before we even contract.
That's amazing.
That way, when we're sitting down with the customer, they can be informed. And now they can make an informed decision that's best for them and their family.
Yeah.
And they may look at the master tub and go, you know what? I like that other master tub just as much. This one's $1,000 more. I'm going to take the credit. And so now they can start really making good decisions before they get into a contractual obligation at that point in time.
Yeah.
Then from there, then we go into construction.
Yeah.
And during construction services, you'll have an app. You have daily logs with pictures, weather reporting, a schedule of everything that's taking place on site. We constantly have a customer experience team that's coming around them all the way through the process. And so we're really trying to dial in, because let's be honest, man, it takes a while to build some of these homes.
Oh, 100%.
And so construction fatigue can kind of set in. We want to do everything we can to keep them informed, keep the energy moving, because it really is true. We're building a one-of-a-kind that's literally, like I said, not just a house, it's a home.
Yeah.
We want it to have a dynamic impact on them. So I don't want them to get tired along the way. I want them to keep that energy high.
Yeah, and for sure, because like in the sense of like construction, it's you're depending on other people. You have people, your crews coming in. You have Mother Nature to deal with, like weather and all that stuff. So there's so many different aspects, and I mean that's amazing that you guys have the app that they can see like updates, like, oh hey, this just happened or this just happened. I bet your clients love that experience, right?
Oh, the again, going back to it, transparency, accountability. The big thing here really is this: it's trust.
Yeah.
And I can't get to trust until I do two things: I communicate well, and I execute well. Right? And so during pre-construction services, they really start to feel the team come around them.
Yep.
The communication is on a high level, and we start executing very well and getting to permits and getting to breaking ground. We follow that through in construction.
Yeah.
So that piece of it is incredible. And it's taken us a while to really develop these things.
Yeah.
You come to me and we're in a pre-construction meeting. Well, I have a person that's literally typing unbelievable notes of everything that's said with action items that are needed for the following meeting. And then on top of that, we record the entire meeting and we store that on the app for them to go back and review and see themselves.
Wow.
So it's about details.
Yeah.
We got to drive into that.
Yeah. So what like drove you to like, instead of just being like kind of like a, like kind of a large production builder, right? What kind of drove that? Like, was it like, I think I already know the answer from just our conversation, but what drove you to like wanting to create this customer experience, to letting people do all these like, luxury custom, like to the whatever they want? I'm sure like if someone comes to you and they're like, hey, I want this, you're like, I'm not sure if we can, but we will try. Like where did all that kind of, where's the drive coming to kind of, instead of just like, oh, here's 4,500 square feet, it's luxury, it's nice, but it's not necessarily what they want. Where did that drive come from?
Yeah, I mean, it boils down to passion and love.
Yeah.
In all honesty, these aren't customers, these aren't really clients.
Yeah.
These are PentaVia family members. Sounds like a sales moment, but it's not.
Yeah.
Here's really the bottom line: we're going to journey with them for a long time.
Yeah.
I had one of my customers that I built a house for about 20 years ago called me up out of nowhere, hadn't spoken to them in years, just pumped because they went through one of our neighborhoods here in Westlake and saw the name and said, I think that's Curt's company. Next thing I know, I'm on the phone with them. I'm hearing about their kids, where they're at now. Two of them are getting their doctorate right now.
Wow.
They're hearing all about my kiddos and where they're at.
Yeah.
It's family.
Yeah. So because you can't fake passion. Like that's the one thing. Like you cannot you actually care. That's why that now I see what is driving the passion of trying to make these dreams come true. And because like if you're looking at it as a house, it's just gonna be like, oh, it's another house. But when you look at it as a home, I think that's where you kind of really find the passion and find the drive to kind of do the best and excel.
Can I give you one more example?
Oh yeah, give me.
So Emotional Road, right? Yeah. We're sitting there designing the house, and everybody's got what they feel like is the right footprint. And then I ask the very simple question: okay, this is great, but where's the Christmas tree go?
Yeah.
Right. And then suddenly the head tilts a little bit. They're looking at it differently, and they go, I think it would go right here. And then I go to the next layer, and I'll ask them the question: don't tell me where the Christmas tree goes, where you think it should go. Tell me how Christmas presents when the kids come downstairs, because that's the moment that's going to last a lifetime. That's the memory that they're always going to cherish.
100%.
Right? Well, now we get to do something special. Walls begin to move. Space begins to change, because we have a very significant moment that can take place in the family at that moment. One of the best compliments, best moments of passion, goals, life. I mean, everything to me. Christmas morning, got a phone call. It just happened, Curt. The kids just came downstairs. It just happened.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's everything to me.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like you guys were building it for that. And so when that call came in, I bet it felt so special.
It's a dream come true.
Yeah. So from your passion, like do you remember the first house that you built?
Oh, absolutely.
Where was that?
In Hazlet, Texas,
Hazlet?
for my brother-in-law, who is extremely successful in his own right. He's with Steel Freeman Construction. He built most of the schools in Keller and Northwest ISD, and you name it. Just built the town hall in Roanoke, and I mean he's got construction all over the place. So, but I'm very fortunate that he allowed me a space to grind a little bit and to learn a little bit in his own personal house itself. Yeah, it's a very special moment.
Yeah, so that was your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, pressure's on too. That's, he's married to your sister, so
she's not my sister. He's my brother-in-law, part of a marriage piece. But I let me just tell you, there is trust involved.
Yeah.
And he is extremely detailed as a person himself.
Oh, especially as someone who's already building and developing. So, I mean, you just know like what standard that he holds you to.
Yeah.
So
it's high.
Yeah. So, what year was PentaVia founded?
So PentaVia, it has a partnership of 4 of us in the partnership itself. I came in about 7 years ago into the partnership.
Okay, great.
It's so you could say 7 years ago, but on staff, there's about 21, 22 people on staff. Construction wherewithal combined is probably over 200 years combined, accumulated of construction experience. I always tell people, in fact, my father-in-law said this to me, hire good people and let them do their job. Get out of the way. And that's what we try to do. We want to hire talent. We want to hire horsepower. And we want to get out of the way and let them do their job. Now, we have oversight. We have our checklists. We have, our inspections and things like that. But at the end of the day, that to me is the greatest thing about PentaVia in terms of internal communication. It's just letting them flourish in their environment.
100%, because if you feel like you're being micromanaged, you can't be successful and creative, and like that's what you guys want. Is that what you guys are like pushing your clients or pushing your employees actually to like kind of be as creative as they want and get creative with your clients?
Yeah, there's in certain, so we have lanes, right? If you get out of your lane, it could be a head-on collision, and that's not a good thing,
Nope.
right? So I tell people that internally as a team, it's like running a relay. You're on a track, you got the baton, you're in your lane, right?
Yep.
And as you're running that race, there comes a moment when you hit the box. And the box is when you hand off the baton to the next person.
Yep.
Well, that handoff needs to be clean so that they can get out of that box at the same rate of speed or faster than you were running. You can't drop the baton. So I tell everyone, make sure that when you enter the box that you set your teammate up for success. One of the books that we just read as a team was the 5 dysfunctions of leadership, right? And it was good to really realize, retrospectively, take a step back a little bit and look at your team and look at your own personalities and how you connect with one another, and be open to the fact that maybe things need to change.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not in the right role. Maybe we can flex a little bit better here, or maybe we can have some more trust over there, right? We want to make sure, I promise you'll feel it in our office.
Yeah.
Our team is loyal, they love each other, and they strive for excellence at all points in time.
Yeah. How do you create an environment where people are loyal and they love each other and they all want to, how do you create that environment?
I don't know that necessarily you can totally create it as much as you can do everything you can to foster. I think it starts with leadership.
Yeah.
I think it's got to start with me. I think it's got to set a tone of expectation. I tell my team, aim at nothing and you'll hit it every time. So let's learn to aim.
Yeah.
And your greatness in life is determined by whatever it takes to discourage you. So let's not get discouraged.
Yeah.
Keep dreaming. Those are just key principles that allow us to understand that we can work well with one another, and we all need to be targeted and focused on the same goal.
Yeah. No, that's great. And like in the sense, because it's like, if you don't have any vision, like, so it does have to kind of start from the leadership. It does have to start from somewhere. You can't just kind of walk in and kind of like aim at nothing, so the vision is very important. So what is PentaVia's ultimate vision? I know there's the 5. Is that the ultimate vision?
That's our philosophy in terms of design and development. ultimate vision would be not just to see the company grow, but I would say for me personally, I want to see every team member that's a part of PentaVia to flourish. I'd like to see them retire here and retire well.
Yeah.
That is a vision of mine.
That's amazing.
Another one is we started up our light commercial and multifamily. We built about 42,000 square feet of luxury townhomes, and we're about to start another 18 townhomes.
Oh,
I'd like
nice.
to see our commercial piece get developed a little bit more. But ultimately, I think the best vision is that we ran the race well, and we did it together.
That's amazing. The 42,000 square feet that you guys recently developed, townhomes, you said?
Yep.
Where is that located?
In Westlake and Entrada.
Oh, Westlake.
Yeah,
Oh, amazing.
with 4 floors up, with rooftop terraces, so that you can look out all over South Lake and Westlake.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. They're
Yeah.
cool.
Would you say that was one of your biggest projects that you've done?
Yeah. So the projects you can define from square footage, yes. But in terms of execution, yes. We have some projects, like we have a 10,000 square foot single story modern home that we're building over in Plano right now. The level of details on that is unbelievable. Another one that's happening on a cliff, 30-foot cliff in Flower Mound, looking over Lake Grapevine.
Wow.
We basically are building jewel boxes. There's so much glazing, so much windows on it. I look at luxury a little bit differently. Some people think of it as soaring ceilings, and so anything that when you walk in the front door, it makes your head just pop off, right? I'm more about how much natural light can I get flooding this space?
Yeah.
What are my sight lines that we come into? Again, if I can get more natural light without giving up privacy inside the house, that house is going to feel healthy. It's going to feel fresh.
Yeah. Yeah. Natural light is amazing. I mean, that's the first thing as a realtor when we go into the house. I think floor plan is so important, right? Like, how does the house flow? Because that's kind of how the energy flows and everything like that. And then obviously the natural light. And so, in your semi-custom lines, what is there something that you guys specifically focus on, like the
Same focus. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Outside of making sure that that we're being conscientious of footage. We don't have to have Brazilian cherry wood running throughout the house, right? But our production semi-custom line, they have European French oak flooring going in.
That's amazing.
It's we're still making sure quality is high.
Oh, and energy efficiency, all that.
Every bit.
Yeah.
It's all there. But at the end of the day, again, it's if we're being thoughtful about how we spend the money, and we can then guide people appropriately, we can hit several different price points.
Yep.
I've got homes that 100% I have built here recently for $220 a foot.
Wow.
And I've got homes that I've built here recently for, $1,200 a foot. So you're going, how do you do that? Well, it's just understanding what you're doing with your structure, how you're tying it in. I don't have to have geothermal on a 2,800 square foot home over here, right? So there are things that we can do to meet and design to the budgets that we have.
Yeah, and I think it's almost kind of like for you, it's kind of like down to a science, or almost an art too, right? Like in the sense of, there's a passion behind it. So you kind of want to see like, okay, how can I develop this neighborhood, and how can I kind of truly, I guess maybe even test your skill and kind of test your team as well, right?
Look, community involvement when you get a development up and going, to me, is everything. My kids, we have this incredible neighborhood that has only about 30 homes on it, so there's only 2 streets. Well, Christmas time was a whole nother level, right? Because there's so much intimacy, and it's not pass-through traffic. You see nothing but, people on bikes or scooters or go-karts or whatever just running all by, and they're all playing with one another. Well, then it turned into suddenly the whole neighborhood gets together for Christmas lights. Well, now we win subdivision of the year every year after year after year for Christmas lights in. Well, I can't tell you what that community involvement has done in the impact of us individually as a family. Like, we gear up for Christmas. It's on in our neighborhood. We love it. The fact that it's hard to get out of our neighborhood at Christmas time because there's so many cars coming through it, we love that. We get in line, and we wait as long as we need to go get milk, right? And then we come back in. But it's getting that type of sense of community and involvement in a neighborhood scale and truly being neighbors. That I love. I love developing that.
Yeah, that just sounds amazing in the sense that there's a couple of communities, like there's a couple community in Arlington that's famous for the lights, you know, so.
Interlocking.
Yeah, Interlocking.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, you already know the name. So, have you done any building? I'm from Arlington, so I got to ask. Have you done any custom builds in Arlington?
I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. I'd love to, though.
Yeah. Oh, have you went out and checked out the Viridian yet?
I have seen. I have not been in there, but I have studied and seen a lot of what is going on in there.
Yeah, you should check it out because it's crazy the island that they have. You know, they have obviously, you know, where they have where, like, you know, the national builders, David Weekley, all those guys are and stuff like that. But now they have this island that has, like, you know, more custom homes on it, and it's pretty cool. And but you know, it's kind of very interesting how that community is developing because now on the island there's even townhomes. So at first, what I was told was that there was only going to be like kind of like luxury homes and stuff like that. But now we see some townhomes being built on the island too. So it's kind of interesting.
You can have some luxury townhomes.
Yeah.
Being able to have a smaller footprint with a lock and leave situation for an empty nester couple, so that they can travel a little bit more and not have to worry about their environment that they're coming back into. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess because was that kind of the vision with the Westlake community?
Yeah, Entrada is definitely so. Entrada started off with a vision of being a Catalonian village. In fact, several people from the town council went to Spain to study this type of architecture because they wanted to make sure that the authenticity of what was being built there really, truly felt like Europe. And so all the architecture is literally sitting right up on the curb itself, and you have tiny roads that are interwinding around each other. It's fantastic. And so you have all this single-family attached structures that are blanketed all over it. And then you've got these amenity sets like private pools, and you got restaurants, and you got shopping, and there's a whole waterway and canal that you can walk in. There's a wedding venue out on site with a wedding chapel.
Amazing.
Of course, we have a Starbucks, so every community's got to have a Starbucks. So now there's a lot of really cool things that are inside that community.
Oh, that's amazing. I think I kind of know where you're talking about. I haven't actually been out there, but if I'm thinking about the right area, that's pretty amazing. What was the reception from the community of it? Like when you guys actually like built it, how did the community receive it?
It's still being built. At first, it took a while. There was a lot of challenges that were involved in building this type of high-end community, but now it's starting to flourish and come alive. There is hundreds of thousands of square feet that are going vertical out there right now. And I would bet that probably in 3 to 5 years it'll be completely built out at that point in time, and it'll be a one of a kind for sure. I mean, Christmas time, if you haven't ever gone to South Lake Town Center at Christmas time, it's incredible. It really is. I think now this area is going to have another opportunity to go to see something incredible and to experience life together with. It's going to be phenomenal.
That's amazing to hear. So, you know, we kind of talked about like, you know, how you kind of got into it. If for someone who wanted to kind of like get into like building and developing and stuff like that, you know, would you recommend them going like a civil engineering route or like, you know, kind of like take a college route? What would you kind of recommend? Like, you know, like someone who's almost fresh out of high school, what would your recommendation be?
Yeah, I will always lean on education. Education is a beautiful thing, and it's not only just experiencing life in that moment, like graduating from a university and going through that. It shows wherewithal of that you stuck to it to get through it. So I think education is something that needs to be on the radar. I'm going to go back to passion.
Yeah.
Like, what are you passionate about? Is it structure? Is it community development? What is the passion there?
Yeah.
What's the why?
Yeah.
And if you can focus on those things, I think that the niches will open up. Getting an internship, like with my company, reaching out to the realtor corps. Like, I can't tell you how much we actually really do appreciate realtors and brokers for what you do. You guys are professionals in an environment that truly needs your leadership. Buyers don't know what to ask. They don't know what to look for. They don't know what the hidden dangers are.
Yeah.
They don't know how to deal with the transaction. They need professionals like you guys to help them through the process. And it really is something that's needed. You are a huge partner to us. We're thankful. Again, I'm thankful that you're here.
Yeah.
We need guys like y'all out there.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate that, because in the sense of, I can't tell you how many times I've been with a buyer in a house and it's kind of checks off all the boxes, but they're scared. They don't know if this is, I want to pull the trigger on this, or there's all these emotions. It's their largest purchase that they're ever making. So we want to be professional and kind of guide them, and not like for me, I'm not like kind of like how you said, like, sales is, yes, we are in a sales profession, but that is not my job. My job is not to sell anybody. My job is not to close anyone. If they feel like they can see this being their home and that's where they want to grow with their family and they can see a future, great. That's when I know, like, okay, hey, this is the one for you. I'll never be like, okay, hey, we have to write a contract on this.
Yeah, again, you're helping them find their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it even further to what we're about. You're helping them get into a home of health.
Yep.
Right? It's got to be right for them.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So have you been in the South Lake area most of the time? Is this kind of where, is South Lake home?
Yeah, for the most part, it's been Northeast Tarrant County. I've been building in South Lake and Eagle Mountain Lake, and now West Lake and Keller and Colleyville and all the areas around here. We're now branching out. We're going into Dallas.
Okay.
We've got homes in Plano and Dallas, Preston Hollow. We're going into Highland Park. We're going where the need is.
Yeah.
That's where we are currently. I'm not in the south portions of the Metroplex
Mm-hmm.
at the moment. We're trying to stay focused on what we can do well in the areas that we're at.
Mm-hmm.
But we're open to opportunities for sure. We've designed a team that can mobilize.
Yeah.
That's not bound by just a specific area. So that's helped us in our flexibility
Mm-hmm.
and being able to meet the needs and get other homes built for people.
That's amazing. Have you made it out to Frisco yet? I know you mentioned Plano. Have you made it out to Frisco yet?
We have.
Yeah.
In fact, we're right now currently designing a garden home right now in Frisco for a special family of ours, and we're definitely heading that direction.
That's amazing. Yeah. Just personally, just watching the growth of Frisco for the last couple years, it's crazy because, I have all these families that are reaching out to me from California and New York, and they're like, I need a home in Frisco. And so, Frisco, the city of Frisco has done a great job marketing itself. All the cities in DFW are doing great, but I would just say that, like, what I've noticed as a city, Frisco has done a great job advertising and marketing itself as the one of the safest cities in Texas and one of the safest cities in all of America. So have you kind of noticed that too? I'm sure you, with your market research, you probably noticed that as well.
Yeah, quite frankly, Frisco, South Lake, West Lake, Colleyville, obviously Highland Park, Preston Hollow, all these communities around here. Mm-hmm. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
It really kind of boils down to schools. Mm-hmm. Like, I've got right now a development going, Eagle Ridge in Bartonville, mm-hmm. that's Argyle schools, 2-acre lots. We're building a contemporary Napa farmhouse that's incredible. Beautiful environment, rolling hillside. You have a ton of space, everything that Frisco right now and Dallas does not have. I feel like that you get in those areas, you can kind of reach out and touch somebody. You can AT&T the moment, right?
Yeah.
On this side of the world, we get a lot of space where we can roam a little bit. But the school systems are really what drives the needle on that. Frisco has a great school system. Argyle has a great school system. South Lake Carroll is one of the best in the nation. Those things are what I would hope that we're helping families that are coming into the area to really understand how impactful that is.
Yeah.
And then from there, once you define that, then you can define, okay, what developments are available. Then you can define, well, what lots are available. And then you can go down the road of who's the right builder for me. Those are typically the natural progressions of how folks rolling into this area think through it.
Yeah, and it goes all goes back to education, because how important education is. Like I fully agree. My brother, he's 18, he's about to go to college. I told him, hey,
That's great.
I was like, hey, you need to go get a degree, find something that you're passionate about, enjoy college, because in the sense of you have your whole entire life to work. But now those memories that you get to make in college, those are so special. You get to really find who yourself are, find what you're passionate about, because I feel like you'll only be successful if you truly find your passion.
Yep. And go out and serve. Go find a kids camp during the summer like Sky Ranch, and get involved and give your life away during that period of time. It will help you with empathy. It'll help you with humility. It'll help you understand that a servant's heart is a winning heart. To me, those are some of the great qualifying things that really can come through that educational moment and that little slice of your life during that period of time before you get to the, me, I got 4 kids, I'm pretty focused on just my little segment, right? But in college, I was able to spread the wings a little bit and learn and give my life away a little bit more.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, where'd you go to college?
At Texas Tech. Come on, Red Raiders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and all the haters, let's go A&M, Texas. And, at the end of the day, we're proud of who we are and our architectural schools. And I will say Patrick Mahomes is not bad himself.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, what did you get your degree in?
It's communication studies.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. And so, I would also say, it's kind of like, that those moments are the ones that you kind of remember, you get to still be connected, you're still super proud. Do you go back to the games and stuff like that?
I don't really get a chance to that much because we're so busy around here, but
Yeah.
I do head back home every now and then because I got family there. I get to grab the kiddos and loop them back into the blowing dirt of West Texas so they can experience what that life looks like. But every now and then I sneak back in.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, and I was gonna say, what was it like, kind of, because every builder that we were dealing with during the pandemic, they were kind of talking about how difficult it was getting supplies and everything like that. I just want to know what your experience was like, and how did you maneuver that?
It was tough.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 years since this country or this world has been through a pandemic like that before. And decisions made of shutting the world down, it was extremely tough. And even though construction was considered essential services, we were out there going to town. I remember one particular day that we were in the middle of trying to finish up a home for a family of ours, and the entire electric crew went down. COVID hit. Next thing I know, I lost my entire crew for that house. Well, it's not like you can just go out there and grab you another crew and throw them on a house that's halfway being, we call it being the strings being attached, right?
Yeah.
Being strung. But at the end of the day, you just had to kind of battle through it a little bit. The hardest thing was not just dealing with the pushes and pulls. The hardest thing, quite frankly, was just helping the customers understand why it was so difficult. I really feel for our customers, man. They went through it during that time because you couldn't get supplies. They're trying to, how do I deal with leaving the house that I'm in and get into the new house that I'm going to? When is it going to come to me? How do I plan? Then when you finally get something kind of set in stone, it just moves on you because you couldn't get refrigerators. It was just an extremely difficult time. I will say this, though. The lemonade out of the lemons out of that moment is that it taught us to be even more proactive. You come to us and we get the house designed and things funded. I mean, we're proactively ordering everything we possibly can get done to get it come in this direction. And if it gets here early, then I put it in a warehouse, a conditioned warehouse, and we store it until we need it. Just because I'd much rather deal with the cost incurred of that than have to tell my homeowner, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to move in your house for another 2 months from now. You're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that's probably the thing that probably was the greatest thing that came from the pandemic, is just be proactive.
Yeah. And so would you say, like, obviously, like you even said in 2001, there were challenges. 2008, when, like the economy, what were the biggest challenges back then? And like, what would you say the biggest challenge back then was?
Honestly, I think that was worse
Mm-hmm.
because the banking systems completely shut down.
Mm-hmm.
People couldn't get loans. There were no buyers. The availability of funds was just non-existent. It was extremely hard. Now in this area in Texas, we weren't as hard hit, but across the country, most of the places were losing equity left and right.
Yeah.
That was a very, very difficult environment.
Yeah.
I mean, each one of these moments have all had their own learning experiences.
Yeah. And like, looking at all these moments, what is your biggest advice to builders, realtors? What is your biggest advice to these people? Like, because like, we're gonna see more tough moments. It's never gonna stop. I feel like it's always gonna be something else. So, what is your biggest advice? How do you kind of combat these? How do you stay grounded?
Honestly, you need to be thinking ahead. You need to be conscious that there are moments that can be negative and can impact you negatively, and so you need to keep safety in that. I am a believer of being conservative from that perspective. But I would also say this too: you can't react to something you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You can try to be proactive in your planning. You can be diligent with your practices. You can get your organizational standards in place so that there's disciplines that can be followed.
Mm-hmm.
You can do everything you can to try to be flexible so that you can move quickly and adjust quickly. Those things will help you be safe. I think at the end of the day, you need to not be fearful. I will say this: fear limits potential 100% of the time. So I would not be fearful.
Mm-hmm.
I would step into that light and I would run and just be flexible.
Yep.
That's what you need to do.
I think that's great advice, because the thing is like, just when you step back and look at the bigger picture, there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be, things that come and, that they're going to hinder you. Like, are you going to take that as like, oh, okay, I give up, quit, throw my hands up, I can't do this, right? Or are you going to be, like you said, kind of proactive and kind of go and, step up to the challenges?
That's it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And so, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to share with us? That one thing that I do definitely want to know is a quote that you live by or anything like that.
Well, I've thrown a bunch at you here today. I think you've heard a lot of the quotes. One that's just very obvious is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to keep that in the forefront of your mind. I would say love your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, and the rest of the stuff will get in line.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of talking about things that we haven't talked about, only thing that I would say is it would be an honor to service your customers and anybody else that's listening to this podcast. I'd love for them to come into our office and to experience our team and to see the difference of what PentaVia really is. It is something different, and I think it's something pretty special. We have quite a few customers that have their own lots. They're not in a development, and they're trying to figure out, well, then who is my builder? Who's out there? Well, we will custom build on your lot. We'll coach you on your lot and go through that process. So I just kind of want to throw that one out there. We're available.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, because like, in the sense, like, I think it's so special. Like, sometimes you find a great piece of land and it's in a community that's already been kind of developed out, or it's kind of already finished out. So you guys do go out and custom build homes for lots that are not owned by you guys.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's great. And so, what would be your biggest advice to people looking to build a custom home?
I would say do your due diligence. Get all the information up front. Go ahead and take the time. I would say you owe it to yourself to take the time to find the answer. That's a wonderful thing. I will say that in the building industry, in the residential industry, a lot of times you hear people ask the question about, well, what do you build for price per foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
If anybody just spits out an answer to that, be careful, because we don't know what we're building yet. We don't know what it is that we're going to do. I've got homes at $220 a foot for just the house, and I've got homes that are $1,200 a foot for just the house. So, like I said, I don't know what I'm building.
Yeah.
What I would say is meet with them and share the information and what you're looking for, and vet that information out.
Yeah.
I don't like it when I hear builders throw out a price per foot, and they ask, how much square footage do you want and what's your budget? Well, then they reverse engineer into the numbers and they get the structure right, and then suddenly they give you allowances, these bucket of dollars for your plumbing fixtures and lighting fixtures and appliances. Well, most consumers, they don't know if that's enough money, right? So at the end of the day, they sign a contract and they're ready and mobilized, and suddenly they go get their plumbing fixtures, and now they're writing checks because their allowance was too low and they can't get all the plumbing fixtures they needed for their house. Well, the very next response is, hey, builder, what's going on? Why am I constantly writing more checks, right? And the builder would say, well, it's your budget. Increase your budget. You can do that, right? We don't contract that way here at PentaVia. That's why we have a binder fully tabbed out, hard bids of everything it takes to build that house, including the plumbing fixtures, so that everybody understands the budget is whole and clean.
Yeah.
As best as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Right? That's huge. So get yourself into that type of environment. You want to have a very transparent, accountable building environment.
No, that's amazing, because I think that's huge advice, because I've heard of those nightmares where they thought they were going in, it was going to cost them X amount, and then $50,000 over budget, $100,000 over budget, which is, it's a lot of money, and especially like you said, it's out of pocket, and so yeah, that could be definitely tough. Any business advice that that was some advice for the home for some people looking to build custom homes. Any advice that you want to leave us with for like a business owner? I mean, throughout the podcast, you've already given great advice, but just anything, like one small bit.
I would say everything that we've been talking about is also business advice. I would say don't be afraid to own the wrong. Own it. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and get to the correction as quickly as possible. Hugging and holding on to a bad habit is not going to help you get successful. And if anything, it's only going to create toxicity into your culture, into your people, and into your business. So being able to own up and say, this is wrong and we need to change. That's what I would do, number one.
Yeah, and that I think that is important, because in the sense of, a lot of times, when you do step up and own up to your mistakes, people are much more appreciative. And then when you're trying to hide from it, and then it just makes worse and keeps getting worse, tackle your problems head on first.
That's it.
Yeah.
I would also say this, allow yourself to get beyond yourself. If you're constantly staying within yourself, then you'll never get to greatness unless you've somehow magically become great, which I don't think any of us have really truly obtained that, right? But at the end of the day, build a team, delegate, let them do their job, be accountable to one another. All those things are necessary to be successful in business, and you've got to allow the confessions of the wrong to be a part of that solution.
Oh, that's amazing. And so, from there, that's where kind of end off. I think that's a great place to end. And so I really want to thank you for, taking the time. I reached out to you and you just kind of invited us in. So I really appreciate you doing that, because, this was our first time meeting, but, we're going to do a lot of business together. We're going to spread the word about PentaVia and, let people know the amazing products that you guys are building. And I heard you guys are doing a realtor event on April 27th.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're going to be there. So, we're really excited.
At the Vines.
At the Vines. That's a community in Hazlitt?
That's it.
Yep. Great.
84 half-acre to 1-acre lots. Again, we've designed these mini-me's of these multi-million-dollar homes that we're doing. And we've made sure that all the structural standards are incredible. Instead of doing the real thin, cheap vinyl windows, we have real Anderson wood windows with not aluminum, but vinyl cladding.
Nice.
So it's an incredible product that's sitting out there.
That's great. And how many lots do you guys have left out there?
Gosh, I think we now are down to like 30.
30 lots.
Yeah,
Great.
and it's starting to pick up. I mean, we're going into the sales season here, so we just contracted on 3 more. We just closed one, so it's moving quick.
Yeah.
It's moving very quick.
Well, great. So we're going to definitely be there. I want to congratulate you on all your success. I wish PentaVia nothing but more and more success. And I, want to thank you for your time. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, and let me just reiterate that back to you. Thank you for the time. And looking forward to seeing more of your success. It goes hand in hand. Again, we need incredibly talented people like you in our worlds. I look at it this way. We need partners. We always need partners. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, brother.